Let's discuss about Western philosophy. Overview of Western philosophy. So actually Western philosophy refer to the intellectual tradition rooted in ancient Greece and later developed in Roman, medieval and modern Western world. It focuses a wide range of topics including metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, politics and logic, seeking to answer fundamental questions about existence, knowledge, morality and human nature. The earliest Western philosopher, known as Pre-Socratics, and all those philosophers focused on understanding the nature of universe and sought explanation that moved beyond mythology. They laid the foundation of rational thought and scientific inquiry, which would be further developed by the Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. So their inquiry shaped intellectual tradition in the Western world and continue to influence modern science, ethics and political philosophy. If you look at the importance of Western philosophy, so it actually established rational inquiry as a primary mode of exploring reality. So Greek philosophers like Thales and Socrates emphasized logic and reason over mythological explanation. The philosophers like Pythagoras were among the first to develop theories that resemble modern science, exploring mathematics, cosmology and the nature of matter. Western philosophers like Plato, Aristotle laid the groundwork for Western ethical and political theory. Concepts such as justice, democracy, human rights trace their origin to these thinkers. Starting from skepticism to idealism, materialism to existentialism, Western philosophy offers a variety of systems through which to understand reality, many of which are still relevant. The dialogue between philosophers through centuries, challenging, reforming and expanding idea has driven the intellectual progress of the Western world and created a rich cultural heritage. If we talk about some of the important philosophers, so very first Western philosopher Thales, he broke away from mythological explanation, proposing that world could be understood through natural principles. His central idea was that the primary substance of universe is water, from which everything emerges. Thales was a pioneer of geometry and astronomy, making significant contribution to mathematics, such as calculating the height of pyramids and predicting solar eclipse. Then around 610 to 546 BC, his student Anaximander, he also expanded on his idea but argued that first principle of universe is not water but apeiron, means boundless, infinite, limitless, an infinite, indefinite substance from which all things originate and to which they return. He also contributed to the development of early cosmology, suggesting that Earth is a cylindrical shape suspended in space. Anaximander is credited with the earlier theory of evolution, posting that life originating in the sea and later adapted to land. And another student of Thales, he proposed that the primary substance, and that student name was Anaximenes, that primary substance of universe is air, which transform into the other element through processes of rarefaction and condensation. This idea of transformation was an early form of what would later be termed naturalistic process in physics and cosmology. Then there is philosopher like Pythagoras, who is very famous for his Pythagorean theorem in mathematics. His philosophical contribution extended this far beyond the geometry. He founded a religious and philosophical community that believed in the transmigration of souls and concept of harmony of the sphere, where number were seen as fundamental principle of reality. So Pythagoras proposed that everything in the universe could be understood through number and proportion, laying the groundwork for the relationship between mathematics and nature. Then also there is some kind of development by his students, and they contributed further and believed that universe itself was structured mathematically. And it also helped the thinker after that. But during that particular period, almost around 535 BC, another philosopher, Heraclitus, is best known for his doctrine of flux, famously stating, "You cannot step into the same river twice," meaning that universe is in a constant state of change. He believed that change and conflict embodied in the concept of logos. Logos means universal reason or law, are fundamental to reality. He also introduced the idea of unity of opposite, asserting that opposites such as life and death are interconnected and essential to the balance of cosmos. And another philosopher, Parmenides, stands in direct contrast to Heraclitus. He argued that change is an illusion, and that is the reality is eternal, unchanging and indivisible. For Parmenides, existence is a single unified whole, and any perception of change or plurality is deceptive. His philosophy led to the development of metaphysics, questioning the nature of reality and being, and had a profound influence on later thinkers such as Plato. Then there come sophists. Sophists actually developed the relativism and skepticism, challenging the idea of objective truth. One of the prominent or famous sophists like Protagoras famously stated, "The man is the measure of all things," suggesting that truth is subjective and dependent on individual perception. And it played a key role in shifting philosophical focus from natural world to the human society, ethics, knowledge. Although he was criticized by Socrates and Plato for this emphasis on persuasion over truth, the sophists laid a groundwork for later philosophical discussion on the nature of knowledge and moral relativism. So this was overall pre-Socratic era. So when we talk about this, in this era, philosopher marked the beginning of Western philosophical thought, shifting away from mythological explanation of universe toward rational inquiry. The diversity of idea about first principle of the cosmos, whether it was water, suggested by Thales, boundless, Anaximander, air, Anaximenes, fire, Heraclitus, and unchanging one, eternal, by Parmenides, reflecting their attempt to find unifying principle behind all things. So their investigation into the nature of change, existence, knowledge laid the groundwork for later development in both philosophy and science. So they introduced a question that would be central to metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, influencing figures like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. So these early thinkers provided the intellectual tool that would later lead to the development of logic, ethics, and political philosophy, making pre-Socratic era a critical foundation for Western intellectual history. So with this, we just end this overview of pre-Socratic era. Thank you.